All right, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about the project that deals with the elements of art. Now you just watched the two videos that describe what each of the elements are. So we're dealing with line, shape, color, texture, value, and space. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up with an image, and it can be a singular object like this, or it can be a landscape. And we are going to divide it up into 6 different sections. And within each of those sections, we are going to emphasize one of those particular elements. So in this example that we've got here, we've got line, we've got shape, we've got color, we've got texture, we've got value, and then we've got space is what we're dealing with in this one, with the shapes being 3-dimensional, trying to show some depth. So we're going to slide this off to the side for now. Like always, we are going to start out with 2 thumbnails. We're going to take our page, we're going to draw 2 small rectangles on it like this, so that way if we need to, we can adjust our sizes and we can work off of there. I've got one already done here where it is a mountainscape, so it's a landscape. We can see where I've got it divided in just straight sections across like this. You can do it that way, or if you wanted to do like the first example where it all emanated from one section, you can do that. So for my second example here, I'm going to rotate it this way and do it vertical. Doesn't matter if your drawing is vertical or horizontal for this. And I'm going to draw a little cartoon head guy that I've drawn throughout the years. I actually started drawing him in high school, and he's changed throughout those years. So we're going to start out, he's going to have kind of a big top hat, and this is just going to be something that's cartoonish. Like I said, this is going to be a rough drawing. It's your thumbnail, so it can be rough. We're going to give him a big feather coming out of his hat like this. And I'm doing this just to kind of help to emphasize and show some of the concepts that we're trying to do in making some shapes that will help to emphasize some of those things. So we're going to give him kind of a big peanut shaped head, and he's going to have some eyes that are going to be separated from each other like this. And he's going to be somewhat arrogant, so we'll give him some closed eyes like this, looking like that. We'll get a nose thrown in here. And again, this is just a rough sketch, so we're just kind of throwing stuff in. And a big, grumpy, sad face, disapproving look like this. And then we'll give him a big chin like this. And we're going to go real skinny neck, because why not? And then because he's got a big feather in the top hat, let's give him a big cape to go with it. So we're going to come up, big Dracula style cape, you know, reminiscent of the olden days. Go like this, comes together around his neck, put a big button here, and then we'll have his shoulders come down like this. And this is where that smaller rectangle on the page can kind of come in handy. We'll go behind him like this and change it slightly. There we go, and then that'll be a big cape. Comes around. And let's see, let's give him a monocle. So we'll give a big eyepiece, goes around his eye like that. And then we'll just bring the chain or the string down here, connect that to his little button. Now, as far as the background, we don't necessarily need a background. If you want to have one in there, you can. But for this particular one, we don't necessarily need to. Okay, so now I'm going to divide this up into my 6 sections. So that means I'm going to have 5 lines, which will give me my 6 sections. So we're just going to kind of put some marks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to slide this one down over here because that's not going to give us much of anything to work with. You want to make sure that you're going to actually have things in your sections to work with. And again, this is kind of a rough draft, so if things need to be shifted on the page, they can. And we'll go about here. and then we'll go there. So I would say if this is going to be my final draft, I make his feather a little bit smaller, maybe make his top hat a little bigger, make it a little more grand. There we go. That gives us something to work with there. So I'm going to put line, I'm going to do shapes, I'm going to do color, we're going to have texture, we're going to have value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got an extra one in there. Cool. So then we'll do space here. And we'll take this line and eliminate that. So on the actual one, we'll kind of shift these around a little bit so that way this one isn't quite so big. Shift everything down. Now in this first section here, which is line, I'm going to use a pen to create the lines here and then do a little bit of shading and create, you know, just a little bit of look of emphasizing the use of lines to try to show some of the things. In my second section here, which is shape, I'm going to break this down and have some of the shapes be a little bit apart from each other, but have shapes that are kind of random, but will help to build the overall look of this. So that way, you know, it can kind of come together. And they don't all have to be rectangles or triangles. You can have circles in here and then have shapes that are kind of odd that come in to fill in all those sections. And we're going to do that all the way through. With color, it's going to fill this entire section here. And the way that we want to do this is we're going to try to create a color wheel out of this. So we're going to go from yellow to orange to red to violet to blue to green and then back to yellow. And we're going to try and get all of those primary, secondary, we're going to get those tertiary, those colors in there as well. So those are your yellow greens, your yellow orange, your red orange, your red violet, your blue green, your yellow green. So we're going to have those 12 colors. We're going to fill in all of that section there. Texture, we're going to kind of shade this to where we're creating some roughness on it, and we might have to shift a little bit here, get some texture in with the feathers. We're going to give him a little bit of gruff and some shading around his face. The value, we're going to use, you can use either a color pencil or you can use a regular pencil, and we're going to come in and get our full range of values from light to dark. So we want to try to get those 6 steps in there. And then space down here, so we're trying to give the illusion that there is some depth to it. So we're going to shade this, his face, nice and smooth and round to show that it goes back in space. We're going to get some heavy shading back here in the back of his cape to show that that's sucked back further away from him. And he's going to look really cool when we're all done with it. So stay tuned for the time lapse and we'll see the overall creation of it. Okay, here we have the final version of the project. We have line out here on the edge with various thicknesses of lines. We got some thin lines, we got some thick lines. The next one we have shape. We have some geometric shapes here, we have some organic shapes, and they all come together to make the overall look of the face. Next up we have color. It is in the shape of a color wheel, or the pattern of a colored wheel. So yellow, yellow, orange, orange, red, orange, red, red, violet, violet, blue, violet, blue, blue, green, green, and yellow, green. And then the next one we have texture. We have some rough textures down here. We have some smooth textures up here in the face here. Not a whole lot of textures going on with this particular image, but we still made it work out here. And the next one we have is value. So we go from dark to light with the stippling here, and we go from dark to light with the color there. And then the last one that we're working at with is space. Now with this being just a single object. It's a little bit tricky to do, but we've got some lines here that help show the directionality of where the things are. So it helps to give it a little bit of roundness, and because we have the face is close up and we have the cape behind him, we have some overlap there. So then in here we've got the button for the cape, and we've got his neck, and then we've got the cape behind it. So there is our overlap. So overall, this is what we're looking for the image. It doesn't have to be separated like this. You know, on the thumbnails we could show that it was done diagonally like this. If you wanted to do it vertically, you could do that. If you wanted to do it to where it was divided into 6 sections like that, you can do it that way. But having it done where it comes around like this or like this here, you know, it gives it kind of a bit of dynamicness to it, to where it all kind of emanates out from that one area. So ultimately, this is what we're shooting for our project. So let's get to it.